So why are we here? The Park Board is engaging with the Midtown Phillips neighborhood and with the surrounding neighborhoods about improvements for the site, for the park site at Stewart Park. We have funding available that is earmarked for site improvements that are related to the master plan or that support the master plan. So when I'm done here introducing the project, Saeed is going to talk about the master plan itself and what that process was and the funding that we have available. And then Francesca is going to do an engagement exercise with anyone who wants to participate. And then we'll have questions and answers and listen to whatever else everybody has to say. So we're really excited to hear your thoughts on what happens at the park moving forward. And thanks again for having us.
My name is Saeed Ali. I'm a park planner in the planning division at the Park Board. Thanks for having me. I'm here to talk about the master plan and what the master plan calls out for. Basically, this is Stewart Park. Before I get to the design process, I'll talk about a little bit about the park. So the master plan was adopted in 2015, and there was 2 years of engagement that the Park Board did to basically complete the master plan. I know majority of the folks here are here to talk about the soccer field at Stewart, but the master plan has been completed in 2015 and it's been adopted. Also, we received some money from the twins, which we have to honor to create the diamond field. The reason why baseball is important in this area is because we have to figure out a way to balance between baseball and soccer. I know those are two very, very popular sports, but because of the money that we received from the twins, we have to honor that money, and the community over here called out for baseball to stay, and also the soccer field as well. For the 2018 capital improvement plan, we have about $337,000 from the CIP. We also have $40,000 in park dedication fees. What park dedication fee is basically every time a development happens by a park, we receive fees from that developer to basically be able, and we have to use that money for that park. We can't use it anywhere else, and it only can be used for a brand new amenities. And so we have about $40,000 for this park that we could build for something brand new. We can't rebuild or rehab anything such as the basketball court or the swimming pool. It has to be for something brand new, something like a splash pad or something that's not currently here. We have an addition of $1,500 for park dedication fees. And what the master plan basically calls out for in this area is a brand new soccer field, which is artificial turf, I believe. Julia, correct? A multi-purpose field. Yep. And also a diamond field, a pool structure, and a picnic table in this area. There's a walkway for folks that like to walk on trails or whatnot. And this is what the master plan calls out for. And our job is to basically, have the master plan intact because there was about 2 years of engagement that actually has been done.
Okay, so Ega Francesca, that's all I can say. Barasho Wanaxton. Thank you for having us here. Actually, we are here to do an engagement, trying to figure out, so with the budget we have, we can't do everything, okay? We're gonna do steps by phases. And so we're here to ask the community what is their priority. So far, we've done engagement throughout the neighborhood, okay? Other neighborhood associations, other nonprofit organizations, schools, partnerings that we're asking the community what are their priorities because we can't do everything. With that said, there's a popularity that people have been saying, multi-space, no? Here, multi-use field. Okay, that's a popularity because we've heard all around that there's a lot of youth, there's a lot of community, this field gets rented out. That's just an example of one of the many things the community has said. Okay, now we're gonna do an engagement where everybody in your group gets to pick top 2 priorities, okay? It could be naturalized area, okay, green spaces, pollinators, other possibilities. Move Port A Potty. Port A Potty is where the bathroom is, outside. It's here, but it's gonna move. Why? Safety reasons, due to prostitution, narcotics, things like that, where now they put a camera here nearby Stewart, so with the hopes that they can see the porta potty. It's further over here, you can't see it by the staff. Now, another pool structure shade. So this is a shade in the pool. Is that a priority? You guys can decide what you think. Picnic tables. Stewart Park doesn't have a lot of picnic tables. Benches around the field. Where would we have them? And if that's one of your priorities, add another fence. We have been hearing from the community that it's very important to add a fence due to that the soccer balls go over on the 26th, and 26 is very busy and it's dangerous. That's one of the things we've heard, and that's one of the things we've added. Okay, multi-use field over here. It would unfortunately not be turf. It would have to be grass. Now, walkways. Extra walkways or walkways, ADA accessible, things like that. So the question is, what are your priorities with the community?
We put 4 things because we couldn't come up with 3 only. And number 1 was using the multi-use field as a extended soccer field, since that seems to be the most popular sport that's being played at Stewart Park. The other thing we wanted was more benches. Lots of parents are coming to watch their kids play, and we don't feel like we don't have a bleacher for the families to watch the games, and it would be nice to have more benches and bleachers. And we also were interested in putting up a fence for safety, and we did add under our safety cameras and light. And we also, I think Ahmed won, he wanted walkways, more walkways. So those were the priorities that we had. More playing space for the kids for their soccer, the benches for families to sit on and watch games and watch their kids play, and a fence, or if we can also throw in cameras and light, that would be also helpful.
We mainly focused on this side of the field, since we have a lot of soccer families. We said the fence, we said benches over here would be a good idea. Talking about the multi-purpose, it'd be cool to make it turf if possible, or making it more soccer like that group had said. Water fountain was also another thing. I don't know if we can install water fountains throughout, which would be, just be nice. And then maybe, I don't know if this is possible, reworking maybe just a corner of the outfield to make it more like a soccer field. We put in Fairview Park, that's the park in northeast Minneapolis, Coach Abdul was talking about.
So baseball can be used at the same time, soccer or lacrosse, any other program where there's no baseball, because I've seen baseball they only use one time a month, like where soccer is every day where they play. So that could be another idea.
Just to better utilize that field, because when we're playing soccer, it's that soccer fields or baseball field's it's rarely used throughout the summer, more so in the fall, like 1 or 2 nights. that we see, so it doesn't get used a lot. So that would just be one of our suggestions as well. Am I missing anything? Oh, yeah, picnic tables as well.
Our table over here was, again, mainly focused on the multi-use field. It is adding as much space as we can for additional playing areas, especially for soccer, was talked about, as well as just noting that the importance of this being turf. I think it's been mentioned before, but there's many more opportunities to play throughout the year. So enhancing that, and then making the multi-use field non-rentable. So kind of first come, first serve, mainly geared towards the community instead of rented out. And then adding picnic tables and benches around the area. And then one comment on bathrooms. If we could add additional porta potty, or even a permanent bathroom, that, flushable toilets and can be locked at night.
So I think our table had pretty similar ideas. The main one was really the multi-use area, trying to make it as large as possible so that kids can play soccer there. We also talked about benches around the soccer area so that a lot of the parents, when they come to watch, they have an opportunity to sit down and have benches around there. So those were our two top priorities. Some of the other items that we talked about, moving the porta potty makes sense for security reasons. We definitely support that. The naturalized area just felt like that might be, a place that will just gather a lot of trash and that kind of stuff. So we didn't really think that might be a best use of the limited resources that we have. Again, we supported the idea of the picnic tables and then the fence. I think for security reasons, a lot of times when kids are playing soccer there, the ball gets kicked to 26th, which is high traffic. So we thought that might be a good idea to do. And then we had a couple of other ideas around the play area. Just seeing if there's any opportunities to revamp the play structure. That was one comment that we had at the table. And then see if we can change the sand in there to composite natural at the park so that sand doesn't get in the pool. So those were the main ideas. Our top two, again, were the multi-use area, making it as large as possible so that we can use it for soccer, and then benches around the soccer field.
Talk about cameras. Top priorities I say on any project planning are visibility, so line of sight. You want to be able to see right through the park, so when you have cars driving down the road, you can see across. There's not hiding spots. People can bed down and do narcotics, stuff like that. So the more eyes on the park, the better. Activating that park is the best way to keep things safe. Years ago at PV Park, we had a number of problems going on. And the community got together and we sat down, we figured on each night, what can we have going on in that park to get the positive activities in there. When you have positive activities, that bad element doesn't want to be around. No one wants to be doing something bad when you've got 100 people who potentially might call on you, might call us, to come do something. So that's what's so great about having all these things going on in the park, is it's going to draw in that positive experience. Cameras are another priority that we always have, and it makes it difficult to get all the way out to the other side of the park. It gets it difficult to, where the fence line is, sometimes where the soccer field is, because you have to get that electricity line all the way down and through. So moving things towards where the building is, where you have staff, you have people coming and going. That's one of the reasons that the idea about moving the porta potty really helped. When you have people that do things in the porta potties that could be possibly illegal, having that camera on there so that if someone was assaulted in the porta potty or robbed coming in or out of it or doing narcotics, that camera might at least be able to pick up the person, might not be able to see obviously what's going on inside the porta potty, but can pick up the person coming and going from there so that we at least would have a picture and we can start looking for that person in the neighborhood. So that's one of the fundamental reasons why they're talking about moving it, so it's closer to the activity and also closer to line of sight. So, those are kind of the priorities that we always talk about on anything, is that line of sight, lighting where available. You don't want to light up the park the entire night and bother the neighbors and have it focused towards them and draw more things in there, but lighting up so there's not those hidden dark spots where people can feel safe walking through the park and everybody can have a good experience in there. So line of sight, lighting, cameras are always my 3 priorities. What questions can I answer from anybody? Perfect, I love it. Yes.
Let's say there's an incident that happened in the park in South High. So we try to call park. There's no number that we can call Minneapolis Park Police, like park police. We have to call 911.
Yeah, so
That's the number we can call in case you don't have to go to 911.
if you want a police response, you always need to call 911. So our park station is staffed by a park agent from 7 in the morning till 10 at night during the wintertime, and 7 in the morning until midnight during the rest of the year. But that's mostly for administrative staffing, answering questions, passing things on to supervisors. But they can take information and put it on what's called our roll call board. If you have things that, hey, we've been noticing this is going on in the park, it's not going on right now, but I'd like you to know that we're finding lots of needles behind this certain location, or we're seeing lots of homeless people around this time of day, or we'd like an officer to stop through this event that we have coming up, and that'd be great. So we can put that on what's called our roll call board, give that information out at the beginning of the shift, and the officers will have that information as they go out and start their patrol. But if you want a police response, you're going to want to call 911. And what the dispatcher will do is they're able to gather more information directly from the person rather than playing the telephone game. So you call our desk agent, then they call the dispatcher and give them the information. And they might have forgotten to ask you some questions, so it's always better if you just call dispatch yourself. Then what they'll do is they'll prioritize that call as either a level 1, a 2, or a 3. And the priority ones are assaults in progress, things that are going on, suspects are still on scene, and those are going to get the highest priority. If it's someone's here running with their dog off leash, it might get a lower level of a 2 or a 3, depending on what's going on. So you're always going to call 911. They'll figure out where it should fall in that category, and the squads will get that information immediately, and they'll be able to prioritize what calls they need to handle in the city. So if you want a police response, it generates a case number, and that's the best way to do it. And Park Police and Minneapolis Police, we're both on the same system. So we all go through 911, and if it's in the park and there's a park police officer available, they'll dispatch park police first. If we're not available, as we don't have as many officers as Minneapolis, then they're going to dispatch, especially in the higher priority calls, they're going to dispatch a Minneapolis police officer to handle that. But the best way to get us out there is by having 911 look to see who's available, maybe pulling a park police from somewhere else, but we'll get there.
Yeah, the reason why I ask, it takes time so you guys can prepare. Sometimes something happens. They didn't say not to the police park be there as well.
The response time is all going to vary on what's going on at that time. We might have an officer who's right around the block, and they could be here in 30 seconds, but they might also be coming from Minnehaha Falls and have to drive all that way down. One of the things we just started doing at the beginning of this year is we have what's called a power shift, and we developed that for downtown and this area. So basically from 28th Street north to downtown, from Cedar Avenue all the way over to Nicollet Avenue in the 5th Precinct. So basically, the northernmost part of 3rd Precinct and the northernmost part of 5th Precinct, where we have a number of areas that we give extra patrol. Downtown never had a dedicated car for the last 10 to 15 years. And it was always the cars in the other precincts that would come when they saw a car or a call come up in downtown Minneapolis. They would pull a car, a squad car, from another precinct to go handle that call at Loring Park or Elliott Park. And then if they get a call at Minneapolis Falls, now they got to go all the way back to Minneapolis Falls, and they're playing, this back and forth game, which really takes a lot of drive time, especially in heavier traffic and stuff like that. So what we've done now is we've got 7 days a week, We've got a 10-hour shift from 11 a.m. until 9 p.m. to focus on these areas and the downtown areas so that they're more focused in a smaller area and aren't driving all over and pulling resources from everywhere else. That also allows our squad cars in 3rd and 5th precinct to stay a little further south, and it's a quicker response time for them as well. Yes?
Question. If the soccer club had a conversation with you about things that are going on in the park, do you do that? Would you come and meet with them?
Absolutely, yeah. You bet. Anything else? Any other questions? Fantastic. Thank you.